Well, here's a rundown on some of our Alaska news for this Friday morning. First and foremost, a man, a 21-year-old, has been arraigned in the shooting death of his mother, a renowned artist from Tok. He told troopers that he shot her 3 times point blank in the face with a rifle to make sure that she was dead and to make sure that she didn't suffer. The new review finds that the Anchorage officers that used deadly force in the hillside standoff back in September were justified in their actions because the 69-year-old former veteran shot at them twice. Yesterday was the last day of healthcare.gov's open enrollment for insurance, so if you missed it, sorry. Also, another person was hurt in a late-night fire at an East Anchorage duplex this week, and then he died at the hospital. Not clear whether he was a resident, but he was not a firefighter. Treated sawdust may end up helping to sop up and burn off Arctic oil spills. They're researching that as a potential, obviously, when you're dealing with an Arctic spill in the ocean in the winter time. We're talking about ice, we're talking about slush, we're talking about it's very hard to get that oil out. Simple booms and containment not going to do. In fact, mechanical efforts have failed in the past, and now they've been focusing on burning it off. They're saying you add sawdust to it, not only is it buoyant, but it really attracts the oil. It can take up to 5 times its weight in oil, and then it burns much easier as well. Troopers are investigating the death of a man who was found along the Parks Highway. Apparently, he had some kind of a health event and then went off the road and was dead from natural causes. Soldotna approved $50,000 for what they're calling public engagement. They're talking about annexing some of the land around it, and after a bunch of testimony, they had actually proposed $100,000 to basically spend on influencing the public. People that live in the area that's going to be annexed came and testified. They decided to reduce the amount to $50,000. They're still proceeding with the annexation efforts. The Alaska Hall of Fame has welcomed a pair of mushers and a star of native games, and KNOM Radio in Nome notes that state and local entities have mixed reactions to the president's executive order in the Bering Sea. Actually, a number of the folks there have asked for the protections that the president gave through executive order last Friday. A woman in Anchorage has filed a lawsuit to try to block Alaska's 3 electors from voting for Trump, saying that because she voted for Clinton, that it would be a denial of her rights. Also, Anchorage continuing to piece together the homeless initiatives, but gaps remain. Specifically, they're focusing on helping individuals. They want to have more policies in place to get people off the streets in general. Here in the Fairbanks area, the new public libraries have rolled out a number of digital offerings, including downloadable television. Basically, you do need to know your library number, but if you have access to the internet, you can use your library number to get free TV shows and movies and some other downloads as well. That 18-year-old that was sought in Anchorage as a person of interest in a person who found out dead, a gunshot wound victim who died at the hospital, well, this 18-year-old came forward, and the Alaska Mental Health Trust Authority is going to undergo a special audit. Apparently, there have been some concerns that they're not managing the money the way that they're supposed to, certainly not in accordance with state and federal law. The State Educator Commission is proposing to broaden their ethics code for the first time in, I believe, 16 years, that they're going to take a look at redoing the ethics, and part of it has to do with widening it so that no one can discriminate based on a person's gender choice. Alaska Fuel Distributors is reaching out to those who may have been affected by a mistake. On Monday, they put diesel in the unleaded tank. Anybody who got gas at Badger Gas, contact them because they're going to pay for your repairs that have to be done to your car for putting diesel in your unleaded tank. Anchorage's first marijuana retail shop opened yesterday after months of delay, and a family on a 100,000-mile mission. They've literally gone around the world. They just sailed through the Northwest Passage in an unheated boat. It's a family of 7. They say that maybe they should have thought it through a little better before they did it, but they really enjoyed their trip. Have you ever heard of trap houses? Well, these are in a number of places. I'll often go unnoticed, sometimes because people don't want to notice things, but they're basically anything from abandoned houses to trailers where kids who are couch surfing or just plain homeless, sometimes the kids themselves don't consider them homeless. They don't want to go home. And so they move around from couch to couch. These trap houses often have drugs in them, and because of the murder of David Grenwald, the existence of trap houses is now in the news. After 2 years of court hearings, an Eagle River man has now finally pleaded guilty to killing his teenage girlfriend. She was 19 at the time. He is now 30, and he's facing 50 years in prison. However, he'll be eligible for parole in 17 years, and the family is contesting that. Also, 2 people have been nominated to fill a soon-to-be vacant judgeship in Kenai. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can check out PeninsulaClarion.com. A man has been indicted for sexually abusing children who are between the ages of 6 and 10 over a 5-year period in the village of Wainwright and in the city of Anchorage. And lastly, the question, are fresh Krispy Kreme donuts worth the effort in Alaska? And there's an article at ADN.com that says basically yes. What do you think? If you like what I'm doing here, please be a sponsor, either direct sponsorship or direct buying a subscription there at my website, radiofreespeech.com. You can also become a patron of mine at Patreon, and you can see all the links here on the YouTube video. Please subscribe. Please tell your friends. radiofreespeech.com, and let me know what you want to hear for our commentary. Today's commentary is going to focus on what happened with the EU back in November. They passed a law specifically banning Russian Orthodox radio broadcasts. It's like a reversal of the Iron Curtain. Remember when Voice of America used to broadcast into Russia? Well, now the EU has said, no, we cannot have Russian broadcasts into Europe. I'll talk about that, and hopefully here in a couple of weeks we'll have our, maybe even next week, we'll have our phone lines in and we'll start doing some interactive stuff here at radiofreespeech.com.